Long ago, high in the mountains of old Japan, there stood a small Buddhist temple among the pines. The head priest was old and still, like the stones of the mountain itself. And in his care lived a young monk, a boy with a shaved head and wide, earnest eyes, who everyone called simply Kozo, the little one. One autumn morning, the head priest called Kozo to him. "Go into the forest today," he said quietly. "Gather chestnuts for the coming winter, but listen carefully." He pressed 3 small paper charms into the boy's hand. 3 strips of white paper, each marked with characters in black ink. "If you are ever in great danger, use these, one at a time, and come home before dark." Kozo set off alone into the forest, a small basket on his back. The autumn trees were beautiful, red and gold and amber, the path carpeted with fallen leaves. He could hear the wind moving through the high branches and distant birdsong, and the soft crunch of his sandals in the leaves. He walked deeper and deeper, gathering chestnuts as he went. But the forest was vast, and the afternoon passed quickly. When Kozo looked up from his gathering, the sky through the treetops had turned deep orange, then purple, then the cold grey of approaching night. The path behind him looked different. He turned one way, then the other. The trees all looked the same. With a cold feeling in his stomach, Kozo understood. He was lost. Then, through the trees, Kozo saw a light, a warm, orange light, like a lantern. He followed it and found a small cottage deep in the forest, smoke rising from the roof. An old woman stood in the doorway. She was small and bent, wrapped in grey cloth, with wispy white hair and a warm, gentle smile. "Come in, little monk," she said. "Come in from the cold. I will give you supper and a warm place to sleep." Inside, the fire was warm and the soup was hot. The old woman served Kozo a bowl of rice and told him to sleep. He lay down on a thin mat near the fire, grateful and tired. But as he closed his eyes, he noticed something odd. The old woman's grinding teeth. A low, rhythmic sound, like stone on stone. He told himself it was nothing. He closed his eyes again, but sleep would not come. In the deep of night, Kozo woke. The fire had burned low, and in the dim light, he saw the old woman's true shape. She was no longer small or bent. Her white hair spread wide around her like a storm. Her eyes were black and enormous. Her fingers long, reaching, wrong. She was grinding her teeth and looking slowly toward him. Kozo pressed himself flat against the wall and did not breathe. Moving as silently as a shadow, Kozo crept to the door. But before he slipped out, he had one thought. He whispered a single word to the small wooden privy post by the door. "Answer for me," he breathed. "If she calls." Then he was out, into the cold night air, running. Behind him, in the cottage, he heard the old woman's voice. "Little monk, are you sleeping?" And from the darkness inside, the post answered. Yes." Kozo ran faster. But the Yamanba could not be fooled for long. Kozo heard the crash of the cottage door He heard her voice, no longer old, no longer gentle, a deep cry that shook the treetops. He ran through the dark forest, branches clawing at his robes, his sandals slapping the frozen earth. And behind him, he could hear her, crashing through the undergrowth, fast, terrifyingly, impossibly fast for something so large. The Yamanba was gaining on him. Kozo could feel the earth shaking at her steps. His lungs burned, his legs shook. Then he remembered the charms. He reached into his robe, pulled out the first strip of white paper and threw it behind him. The charm hit the ground and became a great river, wide and dark and fast. It rushed between Kozo and the Yamanba, roaring through the forest. The Yamanba did not stop. She lowered her great head and drank. She drank the river in enormous, terrible gulps until the water was gone and she came on again. Kozo threw the second charm. The paper hit the ground and became a mountain of flame, a wall of red and orange fire that rose between them, roaring and crackling, the heat bending the air. The Yamanba slowed, but only for a moment. She pushed through the flames, her great body smoking, her eyes still fixed on him. Kozo's hand shook as he reached for the last charm. He had only one left. He threw it. The paper fluttered and glowed, and in those precious seconds, the distance between them grew. His legs found new speed. He could see a light ahead, faint, distant, but there. The temple lanterns. He ran. Kozo burst through the temple gates and pounded on the heavy wooden door with both fists. "Please, open the door! Open the door!" The door opened. The head priest, calm as stone, pulled him inside without a word. He looked at the boy once, quietly. Then he tucked Kozo inside a large wooden chest, replaced the lid, and sat down in front of it. He was drinking tea when the Yamanba arrived. She was enormous in the temple doorway. She filled it. Her white hair moved like smoke. Her eyes swept the room. "Give me the little monk," she said, in a voice like cracking rock. The head priest looked up slowly from his tea. "What little monk?" he said. He gestured to the empty room, the simple altar, the candle flames burning perfectly still. "Come in," he said. "Have some tea." The head priest spoke quietly. "If you are truly as powerful as they say," he said, "you can do anything, even make yourself very, very small." The Yamanba laughed. "Of course," she said. "Anything." She shrank herself, smaller, smaller, until she was the size of a bean. The head priest looked down at her for a moment. Then he placed his large wooden bowl over her. And that was the end of the Yamanba. This tale is called Sanmai no Ofuda, the 3 paper charms. In Japan, paper charms, Ofuda, are given at shrines and temples as protection. They are treated with the same seriousness as the faith they carry. This story teaches that preparation and the wisdom of elders can see us through what our own speed and strength cannot. That when we are lost in the dark forest, the charms in our pocket, placed there by someone older and wiser, are what bring us home. Thank you for listening. May your nights be safe. May your paths lead always back to the light.